right, welcome back to the Crimson Metal Show on KXOU Studio OU. Guess who we got on the phone with us? We've got Sean Tibbetts and Riggs from Sault joining us.
Hey, guys. Thanks for joining us,
guys.
Sean, I guess you're calling from Kentucky. Riggs, you're in Colorado, right?
That is correct.
All right. Got a little bit of that happy herb going on there?
Every day's 420.
There's plentiful amount.
All right. Well, your guys' album, Seeds of Power, just released Friday?
Yeah, it sure did. I'm pretty excited about it, man. It's been doing pretty well, and people are digging it. So,
well tell us a little bit about how this all got. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Tell us about how all this came together. How you got this album together, and how you found Riggs and Curtis and put this project together.
Well, I mean that's kind of a long story, but
we have a long time.
Go for it. Yeah. Basically, I started this thing off, and I was actually going to do like a solo project where I was going to play just bass on it, and just like the drum machine or with the drummer, and I just write songs that were like instrumental bass stuff. Like there's a bunch of bassists that have done that already, and then the more I started writing stuff, I was having fun with it, and I thought, hey, when I try to make it into a band, so I could actually take it on the road and have more than 5 people that play bass out there watching me at the shows. So, yeah, I started looking around and went through a couple guitar players, and I was actually really frustrated. And I was getting a tattoo at my buddy's tattoo shop, and I was whining about not having a guitar player. So he goes, "Hey, well, this new guy I just hired plays guitar over here," and it was Curtis. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. And so he's like, no, let me hear it. So I let him hear it, and he says, oh, that sounds pretty cool. And how about sending me over some tracks? So I did, and he did his thing to it. And so then it sounded good, so we started rolling with it. And then we started looking for a singer about, 6-8 months later. We had already started getting some material together. And we went through that for a while, and then I'm friends with Kimberly from One Eyed Doll, and I asked her if she knew anybody, and she mentioned Riggs, and so we got a hold of Riggs, and he did a demo for us, and it sounded really good, and so we were like, all right, man, he's got a very unique sound in his voice, super original sound, and so we went ahead and went with Riggs, and then as far as the drummer goes, we've been playing musical drummers now for about a year, so if you've seen, originally I started off as Casey, but Casey's so busy, man. He plays with, he probably does half a dozen albums a year for different bands, and then on top of that, he does, he was doing Camelot until just recently. He just left. He's filling in for Queensryche right now, and then he's got his head business, and he's just a busy guy, so he couldn't finish it. So another friend of mine turned me on to Matt Thompson from King Diamond, and he does studio work. So I gave him a ring and said, hey, man, how about help me finish up this album? And he said, oh, yeah, sure. And so, boom, then we had a drummer, finished it up, we knocked it out. Yeah, he knocked it out really fast. He knocked it out in a couple of weeks, and it was done, and then it was off to the mixing and mastering with Oliver Palatine. And here we are, a short 5 years later.
Yeah, I guess it's definitely been a labor of love, because we had you on the show a little over a year ago, and we played some of the like 3 of the tracks that you had already started, and it's been over a year now before the album is finally released. So I fully understand the difficulties of it all.
Yeah, it was really tough, man. I mean, in all honesty, because, we really thought we were going to have it out last year, because Camelot was off last year, and that really would have been perfect if we got it out then, because then we could have toured. We would have had the whole year to tour. And unfortunately, it didn't come out until beginning of this year. I mean, I'm happy it came out, but it does put a damper on our touring this year because now Camelot's getting ready to crank up the Camelot machine and the tour machine. So I'm getting ready to head out with that.
Yeah, you start that next month, don't you?
Yeah, actually, I was rehearsing today.
Yeah,
and it's getting ready to go. So we've got a break in the summer, so I'm looking at that possibly see if we can squeeze something in there, or there's been talking to some other people about some tours as well too, but that'd be later on, like early of next year. So, but I don't know if I can jam something in there in between one of these tours. That's what I'm going to do.
Right.
We'll see what happens.
Yep. Right. And who will be the drummer
Might
at
be
that time?
Ron.
Yeah.
Well, in the videos we use Chris Burrows. He's a drummer for Toma. I'll get back to you on the name of that.
No worries.
Great. His band's great, man. And he filled in for us on the videos, and man, he just nailed it. And just a great drummer. So he said that he'd be happy to do it. So he would probably be our first option.
So how do you negotiate?
Unless Casey's free.
Yeah. So how do you negotiate, doing a side project with also the Camelot machine in play, and it has its schedule when new albums come out and tours and all that stuff? I mean, is this something you talk openly with your bandmates in Camelot about and just try to work it all in, or what is the process with bands with that?
Oh yeah, just like had to lay it all out there for the band and for management and everything, because you don't want people freaking out either. But oh my God, he's leaving. Because I was getting a lot of that too. So I'm not leaving.
I think of
I had a year off and nothing to do.
Right. Yeah, I think of Metallica too, and how not to do this right.
Right. When they got rid of Newstead for his little side project. So.
I'll tell you, man, it was a lot of work, and I learned a lot on this. I have a whole new respect for Thomas and the management now that I've done it myself, because I've always just sat back and said, let's go do some shows, But now that now that I was in the driver's seat and saw what it takes to get it done, the amount of effort and how you just got to stay on it, and quality control and everything, it's a lot of work.
Right.
Sure.
Right. Now, Riggs, for you, how was with the process? Because did any of you ever get together locally and actually start flesh these things out, or did you guys just do it totally over like the internet?
We did it totally over the internet. Yeah. Which I'm happy with the outcome, even though that we did it that way.
Yeah.
It gave me a lot more time to just kind of sit on the song and listen to it and think of ideas,
Yeah. So you probably had to all be on the same recording or the same DAW, correct? So you could share files, and when you're sending files, and make sure it all streamlines.
Yeah, we're all using tools.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you talked a little bit about having the time. I'm curious, Riggs, when you said you still have the time to sit on the track and listen to it, what other kind of advantages did you think there was to trying to put this album together remotely rather than being in the same location, and I would assume having a tighter schedule on the production side?
What other advantages?
Yeah.
Maybe I would feel a little less pressure. I can try out a bunch of ideas on my own first, and without somebody else hearing it till I'm happy with it. Which is, it all comes back to the same thing as the time that I got to sit on it and work on it.
Yeah. So if you guys get some room to tour, what cities do you want to hit?
All the big ones.
the ones that pay.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I think probably what would happen if we do go out, it's probably going to be the East Coast up into Canada. Or I don't mind doing the West Coast either, but it's just kind of central over here for me to get things rolling, and that's probably the way I would go. Right. And if it's gonna be before a full tour, it's gonna be a short tour, so it'd either be East Coast or West Coast, one or the other.
Right. It's a territorial thing.
Now, Riggs, you have another band, and you're based out of Colorado. Do you do a lot of like local touring around Colorado? Do you ever come down into Oklahoma or anything like that?
In my prior band, I did. I'm currently in a thrash metal band called Dragoria, and we're about to go to Sweden actually in May, but we haven't done too much U.S. touring at all. You know, we went a little bit west once, but we're just getting the ball rolling really with the new lineup.
Okay, all right.
I'm going to go kind of rewind a bit and go back to talking about the album, because I know the name of the album is Seeds of Power, and I'm curious about, you know, where that came from or what that meant to you guys to choose that name for this album.
You want to take that, Rachel?
I can take it, I guess. The name actually came from a list of names that I was writing out a long time ago. I was trying to come up with band names actually, and while Sault was actually still trying to come up with a band name, I'd sent Sean the list of these names that I had come up with, and he picked that one out, and we almost called the band that, but then we turned around and made that the album title.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coming up with a band name can be tricky, can't it? I mean, you got to like Google search the heck out of, you know, this and that to make sure the name's still available. Did you guys just say, screw it, this is what we like, we're just going to call the band this?
No, I tried Salt at first. It was S-A-L-T, but Salt and Pepper was taken.
You push it real
so
good.
I couldn't do it. Yeah, exactly. They would have pushed us right into the chorus.
All right, well, why don't we listen to one of these tracks? Sean, the Adonai. Tell us about that one. That's the first one we got queued up, and it's the one that I'm most familiar with because you had given this one also to us last year.
Yeah, that song actually was one of the first songs that Curtis and I wrote, and we kind of sat back and went, "Wow, man, this could actually do something." We definitely got to keep going when trying to make this into a band. It really just started off with the drum machine, and he and I pounding it out, and then we handed it off. We actually had a singer before, Riggs, who didn't work out, and who wrote the lyrics to that. But Riggs came in and kind of did his own thing to it, so it sounds amazing. He did a great job on it. Actually, I think it sounds a lot better now than it did before, so I'm pretty happy with it.
All right.
Well, thanks, Sean. There you go.
All right, here we go. This is Adonai by Sault.
Thanks.
Not far beneath your very feet, a creature sleeps for centuries. Time has expired, it's come alive. Dark evil
Awesome. Well, we are back, and we're still here with 3 of the members of Sault.
We are. That was Ad and I.
And actually, we're up to our 3rd member because
and we almost forgot that Ad and I was playing, and it finished, and
we would have gone
so
right
busy talking with Sean and about
right into guilt,
bass strings,
and we would have felt guilty.
Yeah, we would have felt guilty.
Yeah, well, very nice. Well,
hey, by the way, that song was the first video we released.
Yeah,
was Ad and I.
Yeah, no, that's the one you have on the write up on Blabbermouth.
Right.
It's Ad and I.
Now
that was we released that around Christmas, and we've released 3 more since, and we've got a couple more to go here.
How long does the video shoot take?
We did it all in one day, but it was a pretty intense day. So
yeah,
Ad and I, we actually shot in a studio with just like a white background, and they just added effects to it. And the other one that was shot, that was the studio version, was shot in an artist warehouse. It was really cool, man. They had these artists all, I don't know, had like their own lockers in there. So there was like all this cool sculptures and paintings and this weird crap hanging all over the place. So it's really neat. But then they did all the outdoor scenes after we had left. So we didn't get to see any of that until it was done.
Bunch of B-roll stuff, I suppose.
Yeah, how'd you guys come up with the locations for the videos?
Actually, I didn't. I kind of sent our video producer, Roy Warner, a bunch of ideas I had, and so he has a bunch of guys that work for him, and they went out and scouted out the areas, came out with the areas for us.
Nice.
Well, when it's Detroit, like every building there looks like it's falling down, so it's not real hard to find one.
Absolutely. I assume with these that required you guys to be in the same place at the same time, or was this also some magic?
So when you did that, did you guys rehearse a little bit together to make sure you guys were all in sync, or you just wing it?
We won it. We just went in there and winged it.
Yeah.
We winged it.
We wang it.
Correct it later.
Hey, Riggs, I'm a singer too. This is a rock doc. I'm a singer too, and I just wanted to know, like, when you get the tracks from the other guys in the band, and I assume you're writing vocal melodies and lyrics, and you're listening to the track, are you just going with what's coming into your head? Are you going to a piano and plucking it out, or getting out a guitar and doing it that way? What's your process for vocal writing?
You're gonna laugh. Honestly, I listen to it loud in my car and just sing to it until something sounds good, and then I'll sing it into my phone, and then when I get home, I'll lay it down and see how it sounds in Pro Tools.
Dude, I ain't laughing at all. That's legit.
Yeah. I'm having a hell of a time. I'm doing the same thing, and just to try to come up with a theme to write lyrics about for a couple of tracks that I've been working on.
Yeah.
I can't come up with anything, and I'm playing it loud in my car. I think I actually blew one of the speakers in my Jeep. So
yeah, it was actually kind of funny with Glenn, because on the way over here tonight to the studio, he had me as sort of a captive audience. He's like, "Here, I want you to listen to this and tell me if it's any good." And it was timed. It was really interesting. It was timed almost from my house all the way here to the studio. He played it. So
yeah, I live in an apartment building, so I don't think the neighbors want to hear me trying to hash out melodies and stuff.
I do the gibberish technique. So I'll play my guitar, kind of come up with a riff, and then I'll hear the melody, and I'll be able to just sing it in gibberish and play it.
Oh yeah.
And then sometimes words come out of that, and sometimes they mean something.
Yeah, I've used the gibberish technique as well, and that's. Some of the lyrics come out of my gibberish.
It works.
It does.
It definitely works for System of a Down.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm sort of curious.
Yeah. Well, they'll just lay down the gibberish.
Took you guys a minute there. I was like, was that a bad joke or okay?
Now, Riggs, where at in Colorado are you at? Is that a functional
I'm in a
statement?
town called Loveland.
Loveland?
Oh,
I'm in
I love
Loveland, and it's
Loveland.
about
Now the rock doc.
50 miles north of Denver.
Yeah, I know Loveland.
Were you at school at Colorado, or did you teach at Colorado?
I taught voice in the College of Music at the University of Colorado Boulder. Lived in Broomfield for 6 years.
Broomfield. Chapman place.
Broomfield. It's both a city and a county.
Wow,
True story.
That's interesting.
Well, I want to hear from Curtis Ray. and I think he's down in Florida.
Yeah.
So, Curtis, how did you when you got involved in this project? What was your initial reaction?
Well, I wasn't really sure where it was going to go. I mean, Sean was, had this idea of doing his solo thing, and I was happy to help him out. And it took a while. The process took a while. It's been 5 years, so throughout time, I wasn't quite sure if it was ever going to get finished. But I was happy to help him out.
Yeah, that's quite some perseverance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, tell me, what did it feel like finally to know, when the album dropped just recently, after all this time and all this effort, what was your feeling about it? Was it relieved?
Super stoked. I mean, it's relieved. It's exciting. Like I said, I didn't know, it's been a while, so I didn't know if this was going to come to fruition or not, but it has, so it's super cool now.
Yeah, now the Benjamins are just going to start rolling in, right?
Well, we hope, yeah.
At least one. Right?
I'm curious, what kind of reaction have you guys got from, the people you've shared this with? I mean, kind of the people you go to and whose opinion you respect. Well, what are they saying to you guys about the album?
Well, for me, it's funny because over the last couple of years, I've been talking to people about playing on the album, and everyone's busy, with stuff and like, oh yeah, I want to do it. I let them hear it, and musicians, the majority of them are just like, holy crap, I love this stuff, and the fans have been really digging it too, but the labels, for whatever reason, have not been so much on it, but that's okay. So labels are kind of dying anyways, and so that's why another reason that's good that we're putting it out ourselves. So
yeah,
we're totally self-funded, and we are our own label. So
do you guys have you done, or are you open to doing any kind of crowdfunding for any of your projects?
I haven't tried to do any. I haven't set any of that up yet, but I think. I'm open to it.
Yeah, I know.
For Devin
I just went ahead and did it. I just went ahead and did it because it was already taking long enough as it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Queensryche did it not too long ago.
Did they?
Yeah, I think their last album was crowdfunded.
Yeah,
really? I had no idea.
I know that I'd read an article not too long ago talking about Patreon, as a method of trying to, sort of build almost a subscription or patron model of supporting music. I know that people in podcasts do it. I haven't really heard of any big success stories out of Patreon for metal and rock bands.
I haven't either.
But it's got an interesting model. I know it's something I've sort of wondered at times, going to shows and local shows and wondering why, there are certain circumstances when you can sort of pass the hat, but not, it's not something that's generally done at, at a metal show or at a rock show. And I sort of, why not? I guess that's what merch is for, is you buy the merch. But, what do you guys...
Well, I mean, I got some friends that just did the whole funding thing to get on the road, to get on tour. So, and it did it. It got them out on tour.
Yeah.
So, if you want to see us, and we got to have some money so we can go.
Right.
Yes. And,
yeah.
There they went.
I mean, the labels are dying, and so you're not getting the upfront cost to tour that bands used to get. I think fans like the band being the gatekeeper and not the record label so much, or the radio station, and the video platform and this and that. Those were in the record store. Even those were all the gatekeepers when we were growing up. Are you guys fine being the gatekeeper for your own music?
Yeah, I don't mind that so much. The thing is right now too, the stuff that the labels are picking up is very trendy music, and so if you don't fit in their little mold, then that's another reason they're not interested in you. And we purposely wrote this album out of the mold because we want to be something new, something original, have our own sound.
I think that speaks. I really do, and I think fans will jump to it because people can pick up on sincerity. We wouldn't have an indie music scene in general if that wasn't true.
Right. I was talking to somebody the other day about, I was on That's So Many Tons of Metal cruise, and there were several bands that I like, but when they came out, it was just like this wall of pre-recorded music, and then then right behind that would be a wall of keyboards, and there wasn't even a keyboard player in the band, and I was just like, we just wanted to keep it simple, man. Guitars, bass, drums, and vocals, and put it out there.
It never goes out of style, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, mine either.
All right, well, let's take a break and listen to another song.
What do we got next?
How about Guilt? Because we're feeling a little guilty that we almost accidentally played it 10 minutes ago, but
now we'll play it on purpose.
Yeah, we'll play it on purpose. So what can you tell us about Guilt, Sean?
That's a Riggs question.
Oh, is that Riggs? Okay, Riggs, tell us your muse.
About Guilt. It was they sent it to me with a working title. It was already called Guilt, so I decided to take that title and use it. And when I was writing the lyrics for it, I decided to make guilt into this metaphorical, like, beast. So it tears you up inside, it tears you up like guilt does. That's basically the whole meaning behind that.
Let's get torn up.
All right, well, let's get torn up. Here we go.
Let's tear it up.
Tear it up. We're in Oklahoma, so let's just tear it up.
Yeehaw!
A darkened soul that's so hollow, void of any feelings, consuming the wicked ones, wielding tools of death on wings of pain to punish you and all the deceivers. There's no reprieve until you're purified. It won't leave you until it's all, until it's catching the wind that's coming, hooking its claws in your eyes. Your guilty conscience kills the illusion. You can't believe it. Say goodbye. So hearken these words that follow and listen while you're bleeding, revealing the forking tongue. Live your life with no regard for anyone but you. Begets the Redeemer. There's no reprieve until you're purified. It won't leave you until it's all, until it's catching the wind that's coming, hooking its claws in your eyes. Your guilty conscience kills the illusion. You can't believe it. Say goodbye. Say goodbye. You can't believe it. Say goodbye. Catching the wind that's coming, hooking its claws in your eyes. Your guilty conscience kills the illusion. You can't believe it. Say goodbye. You can't believe it. Say goodbye. A darkened soul that's so hollow, void of any feelings. You can't believe it. Wielding tools of death on wings of pain to punish you.
right, we're back on KXOU Crimson Metal Show with Sean Tibbetts and Curtis Ray and Riggs from Sault.
Yeah, we just heard their song "Guilt," and while the song was playing, we were listening, but we were also talking, and you guys had let us know that there's a story behind this song.
Yeah, actually, we were looking for one more song on the album, and so like Curtis and I had recorded earlier, I don't know, probably like 20 songs, man, and so I was like, there's got to be something else we can throw on there. Originally, the album was 13 songs, but we cut it back to 9. But then, like, we had all these other ones back in the backyard, and so I was going through them all, and I came across "Guilt." It's actually called something else. I can't remember what it was right now, but and I'm listening to it. I'm like, wow, man, that is a cool riff. We got to do something with that. And so I call up Curtis, man. I said, man, do you still have this? We need to work on this some more. And he's like, no, my computer got hit by lightning. And it blew up. And so he lost it. He had forgotten that he even wrote it. And when we were talking about it, he was like, oh, my God, I guess it is me. It kind of sounds like my guitar. So we ended up working it up, and it came out to "Guilt." And now it's one of my favorite songs on the album, man. It's such a cool song that, when I swear to God, every time I listen to it, that whole "Still the Wind in Your Hair" thing there, and I'm going in my car. I can't believe I haven't got a ticket yet, because every time I listen to it, I'm like flying down the road.
No, it's a rocking song.
Yeah, it rocks. I love the outro and the way it kicks into that little bassy part at the end, that reverby bassy part.
Yeah, that's the last track on the album, right? Or was it the last track on the album, or is it the last track that went onto the album?
No, it's the last track we recorded.
Okay.
The last track that we worked. We had the whole album done except for that one. The last track that is physically on the album is called "Broken Tongue." That was an acoustic one I did a few years ago for my wife, and I had a movie producer who's a friend of my wife, and he was looking for music for one of his movies, and so I threw him that one and a couple of other songs of ours, and he loved them all, but he wanted to use that one, and so, but he says, go ahead and try to finish it, and so everyone was busy at the time, so I got Oliver Pelletside, the guy who produced the album, keyboardist from Camelot. I got him to play the guitar on it, and so it's he and I on that. But they didn't use it, so I said, well, I'm going to throw it on the album.
Now, Sean, you haven't been married that long, right?
No, not this time.
Not this time.
Long is kind of a relative.
Long enough to break his tongue.
Well, I was wondering if you said this song was written for your wife. Was that like before or after you guys get married?
It was before. I actually wrote that. I wrote the song probably, I don't know, 5-6 years ago.
Okay, and then she was just so moved by it that when you asked her to marry you, she was just like, yes. Is
that how it worked?
Is that how it worked?
That's definitely the way it was. Yeah. And then I asked her brother to put the gun down, and I said,
okay. All right. Well, I'm curious as to what kind of gear you guys were using. Like Curtis, what kind of guitar and amp you were using for the recording?
Oh, multiple things. A lot of stuff was recorded on a Fernandez Vertigo through a JSX amplifier. A couple Ibanez guitars and Fender. I mean, I have quite a collection. I've probably used quite a few of them. Because a lot of it, when I was writing it, there's at least, everything is double tracked, so there's at least 5 different guitar parts on there. And I try to switch everything up.
What are you using on touring? So when you're playing live, are you sticking with the traditional amp setup, or are you doing anything with amp modeling technology?
It depends on when we start the tour, how much money we have to tour. So if I can't run my rigs, I have an 11 rack that I use.
Yeah.
For amp modeling. and that's downsizing. So if I get to take my amps, I have I'm using a JSX stack and an actual an old Marshall Plexi that's been modified.
Who modified it?
Things that I use.
Who modified it?
A guy down here in Florida.
Yeah. Care to share the secret sauce, or are you going to keep that secret?
I don't know what all he's done to it. I just told him.
Nice. I plead the fifth.
He's added some gain stages. But
we're getting it to him to make this sound cool.
Yeah, that's it.
The secret remains.
There you go. Good mod guy. Doesn't share the recipe with the public.
Now, Sean, what did you use? Were you still using a Sans amp, or you using something else now?
I don't. You were talking about amps there. I always said if I was going to have a custom amp built, I wouldn't have any. I would just have one giant knob in the middle, like 4 inches. That's it. I mean, it's only volume. You don't know other settings. It's just like better and louder. That's all you have.
Well, the real question is, would that knob be in the center of the amp? Would it be on the side? Would it be on the bottom? I mean, this placement is important.
And would it go to 11?
Definitely dead center and have a red light to burn your eyes out.
I think you should put infinity as the top end of that knob.
Yeah.
There we go.
Infinity. There you go.
Or it just spins and spins and spins. Kind of like the tuning knob on a stereo. It just goes.
The wheel of loudness.
Exactly. It just keeps going around. Exactly. Yeah. It just keeps getting louder and louder until eventually everything just pops.
Well, and that can happen. So.
Mm-hmm. Now, Sean, you recently just you're using what, ESP guitars now?
Yeah. I was using Warwick. Now I'm using ESPs because they treat me really well, and I recorded a few of the songs because, I was still with Warwick then. I recorded probably, I don't know, a third of the album with Warwick, and then I switched over to the ESP. We actually demoed everything first, and then we re-recorded everything. So when I re-recorded, I recorded it with the ESPs. I used that. I did use... we cut that out, though. we had an acoustic classical part in the middle of Adonai, and that actually got cut out, so I didn't use an acoustic on that. So I just used just the 4-string strings, and for the actual recording part of it in Pro Tools, it was Sans amp. I had a couple different plugins I used on there, and a compression plugin.
What's your
dialed it into?
What's your go-to compression plugin? Do you use like the stock one in there, or
Yeah, I just use the stock one. It's plenty good enough for what I'm doing, and but I did get the settings from my sound man from our live gigs, and I mean, he's just an amazing sound man. And people kept coming up to me going, "God, your bass just sounds amazing out front." And so I went over there, and we use like a Pro Tools board, Avid board, live. And so I was like, "Oh, hey, what are you using on my bass?" And snapped a couple pictures, and there you go. That was the bass settings for all my bass lines.
Hey. So Camelot uses a venue board when you guys go on the road?
No, not Venue. Avid.
Well, yeah, that Venue is made by Avid. It's like this.
Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I guess so.
It's a pretty expensive board, if I remember correctly. It's like $100,000 or something like that. That's pretty.
They make rentals.
Do they? Okay. Yeah.
All right. You just don't want to drop it.
I think we have some more music. I'm sort of anxious.
You ready to hear some more music?
I want to hear some more music because I think we have "Save Myself" up next. Isn't that right?
Save Myself. So, what can you tell us about Save Myself?
Other than it's 4 minutes 20 seconds long. Right? 4 minutes 20 seconds long. Save Myself.
So much for the 3-minute song.
We know what's up.
It's basically about someone who's stuck in life and things just don't seem to be moving forward. But rather than follow the path that others might take, for example, suicide or drugs, the person forges their own path to save themselves.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
right, welcome back to the Crimson Metal Show on KXOU Studio U on the University of Oklahoma campus. We're stuck down here in the dungeon of the Oklahoma Memorial Union. People are walking by, cleaning crews, making a lot of noise. But we are on the phone with Sean Tibbetts and Curtis and Riggs from Sault, talking about the new album, having a good time, talking about Colorado and 420 and all the fun stuff.
And we just heard
Happy
Save
Green
Myself.
Plants.
Yeah, happy greens. It's natural, right?
It is au natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that last song was "Save Me."
No, Save Myself.
Oh, Save Myself. Save Myself. My band has a song called "Save Me." I get it confused.
Yeah, you're projecting.
Yeah.
Are you in Cinderella?
Well, I am just about that old, guys. Thank you very much.
Hey, I was a fan of
Well, you know
Cinderella.
how quick I picked that up, so.
Yeah. So, guys, this album, you've been working on it for 5 years, and you just released it. Where can people find this album? Is it on Spotify? Or is it on iTunes or Amazon or any of those places yet? Or is it just strictly through your website? How can people find and purchase this?
Yeah,
music?
it's in all those places. It's in all your normal venues. You know, the your media outlets, the iTunes and Amazon. I mean, you name it, it's everywhere. And then it's on Spotify as well. And actually, it was a little late getting on Spotify. And the album came out Friday, but I didn't post it until Sunday because I actually had people writing me going, "Hey, I can't find it." So
Yeah,
showed
I had
up
a friend
on
tell me that too.
Now, how do
it showed up Sunday, so it's there.
how do you feel about the digital world when it comes to your music? With with online piracy being Spotify and Pandora, those type of sites have always been kind of gotten a bad rap because they don't like to pay their artists. It takes like 1 billion streams before you start making a buck.
Yeah, it's pretty awful. It's pretty awful. I mean, it's pretty much it started with the Napster back in the day, and it's pretty much ruined the entire industry. There's a lot of people out there go, "Oh yeah, but look at all the artists that have a chance now." But I mean. But you just ruined the whole industry for everybody. So, you made it from where people could actually make a decent living at it to, everyone is just scraping to get by. And it's just so much harder now to make $1.
Right. Do you think the market's oversaturated with all the independents, or because now everybody, like you said earlier, you're your own gatekeeper. Before you had like the record labels kind of being gatekeepers and deciding what was going to get released and what wasn't.
Well, we are our own gatekeeper. We're our own gatekeeper, but it's not by choice. It's by necessity. If the labels aren't paying well enough, or if the labels aren't, if you're not, in the trend when they want to pick you up, then you've got to do what you got to do if you want to get your music out. And so that's what we did.
Mm-hmm. Do you think like maybe the labels are kind of a dinosaur and on its way out the door?
Oh, absolutely. They're going to be gone soon. I mean, the labels that are around now still. I mean, I know a few bands that are getting decent label deals, but I know a lot of bands that are not getting good deals, and they're signing with these labels, and they're just taking everything, man. I know one band in particular that the label even gets part of their merch, and that's how you make a living on the road.
Yeah,
that's how you eat.
That's awful. That's awful.
They're taking part of their merch, and plus all their royalty money and all that stuff too. So I don't even know how they were staying out on the road, but but they were doing it. They pressed on for years and years doing that like that. But I don't know that I would have done that.
Do you think it's necessary for a band to hire a lawyer? And that wasn't that wasn't a sarcastic question. It's just something that I've read about and talked to bands, and they hire lawyers to work out their agreements with each other in the band, and then also to protect themselves from bad contracts and this and that. Have you ever done it with Camelot or this project, or is that just something that is overblown?
Well, I mean, a band like us, well, first of all, you got to have the money to pay for a lawyer, and lawyers aren't cheap. No. And entertainment lawyers are definitely not cheap. But I haven't had to deal with one with this band or with Camelot. So with Camelot, there's I haven't had any contracts, but I'm sure our management has with Thomas. I mean, Thomas is the one who runs that band, so I'm sure he has to deal with that stuff.
Sure.
We haven't really been we're not that kind of level yet, so
yeah.
Eventually I hope to.
You're like, that'd be a good problem to have.
Yes, that would be a good problem to have. Here, take my money, please. All right, fix this.
So, Sean, what do you think it takes these days for a nobody band to to reach a prominent enough status that they're able to make a living off of their music?
Man, I got to tell you, it just I think you'd probably have to tour your butt off for one, and I mean, just to get to the point where you can even tour, the investment is ridiculous. I mean, you really got to put a lot of money into it, and you have to do it in the right places. You know, your content has to be something that people want to read. You can't just go throw anything out. You can't just, you know, it's got to count. If you're working as a label, you have to act like a label. You have to, you know, everything you do, you have to scrutinize and say, would a label do that? You know, would a label put something up that looks like this? You know, would a label put this out or that out? And if you don't, then people aren't going to take you serious.
Mm-hmm. Now,
and can an artist have that objective ability, or are you too close to your own music?
Well, if you don't, then it's not going to go anywhere.
So do you seek outside feedback?
You have to. Yeah, constantly. Yeah, I actually we've got some help.
Yeah.
Because I like everything we do. And then I'm constantly reeled back in and said, no, don't do that. And so I've got a guy who, you know, keeps me from shooting myself in the foot on almost a daily basis. So.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, Sean, what you just told me is that a female-fronted symphonic metal band probably shouldn't be based out of Oklahoma City.
I didn't say that. I mean, if you can get it out there and get your numbers set, the whole thing is you got to get somebody to pay attention to you, man, and get your numbers to where people are going, hey, you know, I need to, you know, you've got to be of worth to a band to get on the bill. There you go.
Right. Well,
so if you've got no numbers following your band, and nobody's gonna come out and see you, then what reason should any band take you out with them to open up or such?
No one's gonna come out and see a female-fronted symphonic metal band in Oklahoma City anyway. They just don't do it. It's not a big draw.
Well, I was talking more of getting on tour than
right.
Going on like a full tour.
Well, I know
I would come see your band. I think you guys sound great, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, well, we've got a chance to talk to a lot of different acts over the years now that we've been doing the show, and I've sort of been taken aback. I know that we talked to Jarvis Leatherby of Night Demon, and he basically told us, "Hey, I'm homeless." He goes, "When I'm on tour," I says, I'm on tour. I live out of the van. I don't.
He puts all of his stuff into a storage unit.
He just puts it all in a storage unit, goes on tour, and then comes back and sorts it out. And it's like, well, you know, man, he just kind of decided that's the way he wants to live, which I think is kind of the thing. That you know, it's commitment, but it's also one of those things that I've sort of noticed looking at, you know, other businesses. You know, if you're looking at a business and look at your band, you think, well, I mean, I can make enough money to pay for my strings or maybe get my equipment or sort of further offset some of the expenses. But where's the money come from to pay for your house, you know, for your loans, for your groceries, for everything else that supports the members? I mean, that's kind of the trick, right? I mean, it's getting beyond just feeding the business expenses, but getting into supporting your life. So I think that's really.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I've been fortunate enough. With a couple of different jobs I've had where the people tolerated me going on tour with Camelot, because I know other bands that were, you know, of equal size that were touring like crazy all around the world, and the guys would have to come home and find a new job after every tour. And I mean, that's hard to do, man. That really sucks. But there's guys that'll do it, you know. But like I said, I've been fortunate enough that the people I've worked for were like, yeah, go ahead. You know, we wish it was us.
Well,
so
something else that I've noticed, and I'm probably the most amateur person here when it comes to music or playing anywhere. But one thing I noticed.
Come on, Evan, you were in a metal band.
I was in a metal band in college, but that was a long time ago at this point.
You were in a metal band in Russia. Come on.
Well, briefly, but. One of the things I noticed, I don't know if you guys have an opinion on this, is that I've looked at some of the, you know, smaller venues and some of the promoters, and I've seen it looked to me like one of the things is that, when you bring the big acts into town, they usually have promoters that get behind it financially and put some money and some time and some effort into getting that exposure. And at some of the smaller venues, like we have some small venues here in Oklahoma City, I see posters that are all pixelated and blown. I mean, there's some very poor type marketing where you wonder why, why are they even what are they trying to show people that come to the venue to see the band? Because the posters are bad. There's no media. There's no social media engagement. There's not, here in our show, we've always tried to encourage to get people to tell us about local events, and we're here every week, and it's fairly rare that we're not getting messages from the local promoters or even the local venues telling us what's up, although we're one of the few metal shows in the Oklahoma City Metro.
Yep.
It's just I don't really know why what the promoters are expecting out of this. If they want to organize a show and they want to put no money into it and basically tell the band, well, you've got to bring the numbers, you've got to bring the people, you've got to sell the tickets. What that model just seems to me to be counterproductive. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
Yeah, it's funny how you say that, because a couple of years ago I was over in Louisville and I was seeing a friend of mine's band, and they go, hey, meet this guy, and he's wanting to become a promoter. And I said, really? And immediately I got a bad taste in my mouth. I'm like, so he says, what advice can you give me? And I said, I'm going to give you the number one piece of advice that every promoter should have, and that is do what your job title is, promote.
Right.
And none of them do. They don't promote, man.
They confuse themselves with booking agents.
I can't say it's all of them. There are some that do a good job, but the majority of them, right? They sit back and they figure that you're going to bring all the money into them, and it really would not take much investment on their side to sell out all the shows that they particularly are promoting, and they can let all the other promoters go, wow, what's this guy doing? Well, you know what he's doing? He's working. He's doing his job. And they just don't. They just sit back and expect the band to do it. Well, the band doesn't live there. The band lives somewhere else, so they can't promote it in your town.
Right. So can you tour without a promoter? Can you just take the promoter out of the equation?
Geez, I don't know. I haven't tried, man. we always have there's a little promoter for every show. We have a separate promoter at every different show. I mean, we have a booking agent that handles all the shows, but we have separate promoters at each one.
There are good promoters. So there are some.
Sure. Yeah, I think the good ones though are handling the big huge acts, the ones that are established. But when you're a nobody band trying to break it and get on a 2-week tour, playing a bunch of dive bars, it's a whole nother thing.
There seems to be a disconnect, I think, between the various levels of acts. You can have your local acts, you have your new acts, you have your acts with experienced people. It's just that I sort of wonder with the venues why they say, well, just come. We're going to play 6 bands. We're going to run it all night. You bands have to do actually attract the people to come out. There's something about, I think, saying, look, we're going to find a good band. We're going to bring them, and we're going to tell everybody how good this band is, and bring in the crowd, if anything. So it's just,
in my experience, those
you have to find something to grab somebody's attention to get them out there. Otherwise, people are just going to go, yeah, we'll be there, and they don't show up. That thing, I know all about that too. I did that for years as well. But if you pull a band in there on the bill that does have a good draw, and then you attach yourself to it, then there's there you go.
Yeah, and what I've seen,
come up with creative ideas to get the people in there. I mean, I know it's tough.
Yeah, what I've seen is the more established band like that who does bring a crowd, as soon as they've played, the crowd leaves.
Yeah, there's that. That is tough. That is. People are. I played enough gigs with other bands too, where it was like, the crowd for that band would come in, and then the next crowd would come in for the next band. There's that happens.
Yeah,
well, so.
And how are you supposed to get a following if no one's sticking around to check you out? It's.
Well, that's a discovery problem.
Yeah.
I mean, they call that, and I know in the ecosystem with apps, if you go to apps, like for example now, I mean, if you we were talking about phones earlier. Who has an iPhone? Who has an Android phone? You go to the App Store and you go to iTunes. You go to the Google Play App Store, and you look through there. I mean, you have so many. It's kind of it's similar to with music. I mean, how do you discover the new stuff? How do you discover the stuff you like? And I know that's something that I really enjoy about our show that we do here is we spend a lot of time looking at music and investigating music and listening. It's almost like some work of doing research.
But we're still relying on gatekeepers too.
Right.
I mean, I'm still relying on gatekeepers like Spotify to find out about new bands and new tunes, new releases, or Muncie, the guy that from Skateboard Marketing, that's sending us these are the bands that are releasing new music, and you can interview these bands, blah 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 blah. So there's still going to be gatekeepers. I'm a classical singer by trade, and some of the things that you guys say, and we've heard other bands say, Sean, about promoters, and there are good ones, but they're really, really with the biggest bands, and the rest of them are kind of like crap. Well, the same thing is true for classical music and artist management. There's some really good agents out there, and they're promoting singers like Renee Fleming, Placido Domingo, the big-time opera singers making 6-7 figures a year. And then there are a bunch of other agents and I've had a couple, and they cost me more money than I made. And I'm like, I'm going to make more money hustling myself, getting my own gigs with opera companies, than if I'm doing a solo concert. I'm going to work my butt off and get the crowd there and make my own money. I don't have to deal with a damn promoter that's going to be a lazy ass. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's just my attitude. So that's why I asked the question. I was like, why don't you just ditch the promoter if they're not doing any work?
Yeah, well, like I said, the promoters that I've used in the past are local to the region, and so it's not like I'm hiring a promoter to do just gigs in my town. If those are gigs in my town, it is probably what I would do myself. But if I'm playing in Detroit or I'm playing in Seattle, I can't do that there. So you got to hire somebody local.
Fair enough.
Well, Sean, I was curious as to what you thought about, and Riggs and Curtis too, what your thoughts are on the current state of metal and hard rock music in the United States. We when was it, last year when we interviewed Lips from Anvil?
Yep.
And I had asked him, I said, why don't you ever tour the U.S. that often? And I said, it's like you're always in Europe. And he said, well, in Europe, metal is a way of life, but in America, it's just a passing fad.
He nailed it right there.
Is that a true statement?
Oh, he just nailed it right on the head, man. My experience from Europe, is you really do. They're fans for life. We played a show in Norway years ago, and we were playing with White Lion and Dokken and Twisted Sister, and these people still had their jean jackets on, man, with their band names on it. I was like, oh my God, man, I hadn't even heard of those bands since I was a kid, man. I was like, wow, that it was really cool to see that they had so many fans still, and it's still that way today. I mean, all those bands never went away; they're just over there.
So, what happened culturally in Europe? Why did it stick, and why is it kind of going underground in this country? Because I see a lot of good hardcore metal fans that are our age. Here, but they're just more of them. So there's something culturally in Europe where it's translated deeper, more in the fabric of.
It's not a fad there. Culture. It's not a fad there. It's a fad here. It becomes uncool to like bands. You remember when Limp Bizkit came out? Everyone thought they were cool. Nobody thinks they're cool anymore.
No, that's true. That's true.
I still like them of that. Yeah, I do too, man. They got some great rhythms, man, I love their stuff. But I guess I lean more towards the European people when it comes to music.
Okay.
U.S. is just really jaded.
All right. Well, we are just about out of time.
We've got more music.
Yeah, we've got more music, and we'll play more music. But I wanted to know before we kick off this last song, Sean and Riggs and Curtis. Anything else you'd like to say? The standard thing, where people can find your music, where people can find more about Sault, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, sure. www.saltband.com is the website, and you can get everything on there. You can see all of our videos on there. As they come up, as we start posting them more out there, they'll be on that website as well. It's also Sault Band for our YouTube channel, as well as the Facebook. So check it out.
Are you on?
We post stuff almost every day. So we've actually got a brand new video we brought out with the album last Friday too.
Sweet.
So Sean, are you on Twitter?
We are on Twitter, but I haven't touched that one in a while. I forgot about that one. I should probably go tweet right now.
I'm sure you
way too Twitter baited.
I'm sure you could get in a conversation with our current president on Twitter.
Yeah. Now, Sean, what you need to do, Sean, you need to look for yourself on Twitter, because I was going to tag you on Twitter, and I found an account that's Sean Tibbetts, and it has a picture of you. But it's definitely not you that's been posting.
That's probably our old PR agent who's not working with us anymore. She was posting on it there for a while.
Well, it's not even that. It's very politically charged stuff.
Oh, you've been.
Oh no!
Really? You have been recruited into the Russian botnet.
Yep.
Russian botnet.
Nice.
Well,
I'm gonna have to check that. I haven't done that, so
yeah,
I haven't even looked at my Twitter account in ages. I there's just so much media stuff and social media I'm dealing with, and then the release and all that stuff. I haven't even been able to think about that one. But I should probably go look at it then. No, you're saying that.
Yeah, I think it's an older picture of you too, when you had the long, flowing white mane, blonde mane. So, not the dreads. So
not the dreads. Well, that must have been a while ago.
Yeah. Well, anyway, guys, it's been a pleasure talking to you. We're going to play one more song, and it's "Fragile." So, what can you tell me? What can you tell me about that one?
Fragile. I can tell you. Unless Sean, you want to take that? Or you want me?
No, go for it, man.
Well, it's just about losing someone to death and then fighting the urge, to follow them to the other side.
All right, and this is kind of a slower ballady type one, right?
That's slower.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys.
And by the way, I'd like to interject something real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
That Sault shirt looks really good on you.
I know it does. Even with my
feels really good too.
Even with that bowl full of jelly right there. So, all right, guys, we'll stay on the line for a little bit, and I'll get some more information from you, and then. But without further ado,
that kills me, man. Hey, I'm watching you guys on Facebook, and it's delayed like a half a minute.
Yeah.
So it's hilarious. I just saw you rub his belly.
Mine's loading now.
All right, well, guys, without further ado, this is "Fragile" by Sault.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having us back.
Thanks. It's nice talking to you
thanks, guys. Yeah, it's good to have you on.
This candle, it burns my brain. I'm locked within myself.